The Hero Xpulse has long been the go-to ADV for the budget-conscious ADV rider, an easygoing motorcycle that doesn't mind getting dirty. But now, with more riders looking to embrace adventure riding without breaking the bank, the Xpulse 210 arrives as an answer. It isn't a radical departure. It isn't even the 400cc ADV that we're all secretly hoping for. But it is an evolution, a better Xpulse, built for Bharat, with a broader sense of purpose. The new design includes a taller-looking tank, an upswept tail section that adds some cosmopolitan appeal, and a new front end with a brace beneath the headlight. This is a nifty little addition in my opinion. It's a leverage point, an extra leverage point when you want to pull the bike out of a sticky situation like a slush, or even if it's fallen at an awkward angle, this additional leverage point might just help when you want to pick up the motorcycle. So like I said, I think it's a very good design accessory. Changes to the underpinnings may not look dramatic on paper, but they add up to something substantial. The new 41mm forks up front, up from the 37mm on the previous Xpulse 200, are chunkier and now offer 210mm of travel up front and 205mm at the rear, setting a new segment benchmark. And a real benefit once you hit the trail. The front axle has grown to 15mm, adding rigidity. The longer wheelbase instantly reflects in better highway manners and better cornering stability. The Xpulse is an improved road bike as well. That said, the agility off the road has still not taken a hit. The weight has also gone up a bit, but the distribution is nearly identical to the 200. Hero engineers say that there's only a 1% increase in the weight distribution in the front and towards the top section, which is negligible. You're never going to notice that. But the Xpulse continues to remain and feel light on its feet. So whether you are riding on the road or off it, weight isn't something that you need to worry about too much. And as before, the bike remains extremely easy to pick up even if you are alone on the trails. Not too heavy at all. The suspension has been tuned to feel progressive, the idea being a plush ride at low speeds and the ability to handle serious trail hits. But in practice, the slow speed ride is slightly stiff. In fact, it can feel quite firm, especially on the pothole or the undulated tarmac surfaces that are abundant in rural India, or let's just say all of India. At the same time, I think the suspension behaves really well when you attack the ruts, the stones, the rocks, the trails. It just decimates all of that just the way an Xpulse should. So off the road, it still continues to shine. That is its natural playground. The monoshock linkage feels effective with preload adjustability for touring setups. However, with complaints of rusting issues with a lot of components on the Xpulse, that component is definitely going to have to prove itself with time. Not just in terms of its metallurgy, but also in terms of that placement, because the way it is, I think it's going to take a lot of beating. Now for the most significant upgrade, the engine. This is the same 210cc liquid-cooled motor from the Charisma XMR. And while it's only a 10cc bump over the older Xpulse, it's in a different league. Hero claims a 25 km/h higher top speed for the new 210cc engine. Now, with a little bit of help from tailwind, we saw about 140 kilometers on the speedometer, so take that to be a true speed of about 125 if I'm not wrong. And while it does feel stable, while it does get there quite easily, it starts getting quite buzzy after 110 kilometers an hour. So on the highway, it will hold 120, but you will feel a lot of vibrations in the pedals, in the foot pegs, etc., even in the handlebars. So there, it's starting to get a little buzzy, and that sensation lingers on for quite some time even after you get off the motorcycle. But otherwise, yeah, anywhere between 100, 110, you should be able to comfortably cruise. Now back to some of the more protection parts, like the engine guard that you see here and the placement of the coolant reservoir. The only annoyance, the bike kept stalling in the first gear every now and then, especially on the trails. But I think it's more to do with the motorcycle being new. A few more miles on it and it should be absolutely fine. We got the bike with hardly 300 kilometers on the odo. That fresh. That said, the liquid cooling is a huge win for Indian conditions. In the 30 degrees Celsius Rajasthan heat, the bike held up through long rides and off-road abuse without overheating. The radiator is also well protected. This is ideally what the Xpulse will look like when it falls on the trail. And you can see that the guards really do a good job in making sure that the tank is not really hitting the ground all that much. Even the tank shrouds don't really touch or hit the ground all that much. Of course, how you fall, where you fall, what the kind of terrain is going to dictate a lot of things. But I think that coolant reservoir is out of harm's way. It's nicely shielded by those tank shrouds and they're really thick. So you shouldn't really be worried about that. But if you install a tank guard or invest in a tank guard, I mean, that's up to you. The same thing now for the hand guards here. These, however, don't have a metal brace. Like before, they continue to be a plastic unit and they are mounted on top of the lever mounts. And that, I think, is a bit of a problem. So in case of a slightly hard fall or maybe at speed, these are going to break away very easily and not going to protect those levers or your hands. It's only going to give you some prevention or some protection against the weather, cold weather maybe, and of course thorny bushes. The radiator is also well protected against gravel and all kinds of debris that the front tires are going to throw at it. Oh, and speaking of tires, now with Royal Enfield and KTM doing it, I hope that even Hero is able to add tubeless wire spoke wheels when they launch the Rally Edition or introduce the new accessories catalog for the Xpulse 210. But on that note, the tires definitely deserve a mention. These Euro grips are amazing. Out of the box, excellent grip on surfaces like these. Even for some rocky, sandy terrain, they work pretty well. We didn't really have to move to proper knobbies or more off-road oriented tires. These, as you can see, are knobbies themselves, but out on tarmac, you will simply not believe that these are knobbies. That is how good the grip is. Of course, these bikes are new, the tires are new. So we will revisit this topic when the tires have some age on them. But at least right now, out of the box, I'm very impressed with this rubber. To get a better low-end drive, they have added 4 teeth to the rear sprocket. But honestly, there's only so much it can do. It definitely helps when you're on the tighter trail sections, but it can only do so much for that engine torque. This engine is still a peaky engine. It only wakes up beyond the 5000 RPM mark. So while it is definitely an improvement over the Xpulse 200, it's not night and day. And you may or may not like it depending on your riding skill and your riding style. Because you see, it's not a mountain of torque low down, which also ensures that it's not going to be too overwhelming. It will still remain unintimidating, friendly, and that, if you think, is what made the Xpulse popular in the first place. So newbies are definitely going to love the kind of low-end torque that it offers, the linearity with which the power and the torque is delivered. You won't fall if you blip. The bike won't just, take off from underneath you. That's not the kind of torque it has. It's a lot friendlier than that. And that is definitely going to appeal to a larger audience. In terms of the gearbox, the additional cog or the 6th gear definitely helps, especially when you're on the highway. Now the gear shifts, they do feel a bit notchy, not as creamy smooth as you would expect. However, I think it works quite well, especially when you're riding off-road, so that heavy adventure boots don't end up changing gears when you don't want them to. The brake levers, both front and the rear, have a spongy feel to them, and I think it's engineered that way. The rear definitely needs a firm push to really get that braking done. And I think that has been done to ensure that the braking is not too sudden, because that is not what you want when riding off-road. And riding off-road, enduro, all the trail riding, that is still the primary intent, and it stays true to the intent. Even the braking stays true to the intent. And once you've figured out where the bite point is, it's not unnerving at all. It's quite manageable even out on the road. That spongy feel is something that you will get over very quickly. And like I said, once you figure out where that bite point is, even single finger braking is very easily possible. You can do that modulation really, really well. There are 3 ABS modes to choose from. A road mode where ABS is active on the front and the rear wheel. A trail mode where the rear ABS is off, but the front allows some slip before the ABS kicks in. And then there is ABS off, which completely turns it off on both the wheels if you're feeling heroic. Trail mode is especially handy when you need to steer the rear wheel to get a little sideways. It's not fancy tech, but it's functional, and that is what you need. And the feel from the brake levers is really good too, especially when riding off-road. Also worth mentioning is the engine braking. It's strong and dependable. Whether you're slowing down on gravel or tarmac, it feels absolutely natural and linear. and that is something a lot of you are going to like about it. The seat is now both flatter and wider than before. That ensures better comfort for both the rider as well as the pillion when you're going two up. The luggage rack, integrated one again, and this is a welcome addition. It will definitely hold a small tail bag without a problem. You can even bungee it very easily. However, the forward slanting design, I think that is a bit of a problem because it will keep pushing the load forward when you're braking hard or when you're going through potholes, off-roading, etc. It's going to start pushing forward, maybe into your pillion's back, or just start pushing forward even if you're riding alone. So I think a flatter design would have been more functional. The ergonomics also remain unintimidating. The seat height is not a problem at all. You can see that I'm not on a perfectly flat surface. This is the kind of stuff that you will come to when you want to enjoy some vista points like these. And even for me, at 5 feet 8, getting both my feet absolutely flat on the ground, even on undulated surfaces like this, is not a problem at all. And even when you're tackling, say, uphill trails or going up some rocky trails, if you need to get that firm footing, it's absolutely easy, and the lightweight of the motorcycle again helps in getting out of any tricky situation. So getting your confidence boosted because of the ergonomics and the weight is absolutely easy on the Xpulse. Now, the Xpulse was always a great product, and the new one, it's not trying to reinvent the segment or really reinvent the ADV category in any way. It's only trying to make the Xpulse better, and I think it has succeeded quite nicely in that regard. It's still affordable, still approachable, and now it's faster, more capable, and better suited to Indian terrain and climate. If you already own any generation of the Xpulse 200, the 210 doesn't offer that dramatic leap forward, not something that will probably convince you to upgrade to it. Unless, of course, you need the better top speed, the better top-end performance, the longer legs, and, of course, liquid cooling. If you need any of that, then the 210 is a great proposition. But if you're looking to enter the world of ADVs, if you're looking for that easy starting point, then I think the Xpulse could be a good way forward. And if you want something that is lighter and more frugal to complement a big ADV that you probably already have in your garage, this is going to be an excellent second machine. It can do crazy commuting without any problems. The fuel economy is great, and then when you want to come to places like these or even something more hardcore, it complements all of that too. So I think it's an excellent proposition no matter which way you look at it from. It is a perfect evolution. Like I said, it is a better Xpulse than what we've already ridden. It may not be the 400cc ADV that we were hoping from Hero, but it is the right evolution for the 200 platform. The 210 is smarter, it's tougher, and it's Bharat ready, and it still is the GOAT in the segment.